What's up, dudes? Max here. Injustice 2 is out, and we've had just about a week to get our hands on the game, play a little bit online, play the offline in the story mode, and it's pretty damn good. I mean, I'd like to make a quick review right now, but it's probably some of the best single-player content in a fighting game in a very long time, and one of the best story modes, but there is even more on the horizon, as well as WB Games teasing a little bit of it today with the first in-game screenshot of Red Hood. Now, I absolutely know that Red Hood is one of the most demanded characters in the entire roster. Seriously, the demand for Red Hood has been off the charts ever since Injustice 2 was even announced, hoping that he would be in the main roster itself, but he is actually going to be a part of the first DLC pack, I believe, which is composing of Sub-Zero, Starfire, and Red Hood. This first screenshot doesn't show us much. If not, he has something that looks very similar to Aaron Black in Mortal Kombat X when he did like the meter burn roll. But at the same time, I would like to offer my 2 cents on what I hope Red Hood would play as, because I made a video not that long ago, just under a month ago, talking about my hopes for some characters in Injustice 2, and when they were revealed, I was kind of like, I don't really know about this because a lot of them seem to be focused around projectiles and getting full screen and zoning like crazy. I'm not too sure how many of you guys have jumped into the online ranked scene or ranked 1v1 where there's no adjustments to gear, there's no modifiers of abilities, it's just the base character versus the base character. The greater majority of matches are going to be filled with people that are going full screen and throwing projectiles, because at the moment it's just the safer bet.
This is so stupid. This is so stupid. This is fucking stupid. This is stupid. He did not outplay me in that game at all. I destroyed his Black Canary. And Black Canary is the character he's put way more time into.
As is the way.
This is just really frustrating. Like, this is the most brain dead thing I've fought against in any NRS game in a long time.
Yeah, it's a little good right now. There is very minimal risk in association with the great reward that comes with throwing projectiles, especially for the fact that the person throwing the projectiles gains meter for doing the special move. If the person on the receiving end blocks those projectiles, the person that threw the projectiles also gets more meter. So essentially, the entire risk or association with throwing projectiles is the fact that you're going to leave your character exposed, but since the screen space is so big in Injustice 2, it isn't that big of a risk. Immediately you might be saying things like, just do the meter burn roll. Unfortunately, the meter burn roll does not come out very fast, so characters that have quicker projectiles, you'll be shot out of it immediately because you have to dash first and then meter burn roll, and there's a little bit of recovery at the end of the meter burn roll too, which doesn't even go full screen. A lot of people are like, just do the roll, but the more you play the game and you play against a lot of people like this in ranked 1v1, which is a very large amount of matches, I'll say so myself, it is not as effective as I would like it to be, hoping that it would eventually be a full screen thing. In that previous video, I was explaining my concerns with characters like Deadshot and the many others that their game plan is just to go full screen and throw projectiles, and it does seem to be kind of an issue at the start, but there are ways around it. You essentially have to play very patiently, get in on it, and do as much damage as you possibly can, and try to read as hard as they can so they don't push you full screen again. But I have hopes because I do think that this is not the initial intention of NetherRealm for the game. It is early, people are going to find ways to fight it, but for the general population of people that are hoping to jump online or maybe learn this game, it can be a bit demotivating for the guys that aren't like us that take it hardcore, and I'll go in regardless. The majority of characters I'm playing right now barely have any projectiles at all and really can't fight the huge amount of projectile characters that are in the game, and essentially I just have to duck and walk forward and hope that they mess up at some point. This all boils back to the character showing today, which was Red Hood, and my hopes that Red Hood is not going to be like this. I do feel that they were aware about characters being very projectile heavy in Injustice 2, because certain developers, I'll not mention who, were at these events where the game was being played by a whole bunch of people early before release, and they did say, I know you're worried about a lot of the projectile characters in the game, and there is a lot of them, but we're hoping that the new mechanics do hopefully alleviate this. Meaning that they're already kind of aware that there's a big amount of characters that really revolve around projectile zoning attacks, and maybe Red Hood is not going to be one of those. I do have hopes that we're going to get a close-range combat gun-style character, and for anybody that's, what the hell, that doesn't make sense, this character's supposed to use guns, he's supposed to shoot his guns, I have absolutely no problem with that. In all honesty, I have no problem with zoning projectile characters as long as there's a little bit of thought process behind it. I do enjoy characters like Glacius Morbius and Deadpool in Marvel vs. Capcom, characters that have to do one thing to kind of make the opponent do something else, but they have a lot of other tools, and usually the projectile zoning isn't their best tool or is equal with their other tools. I feel that Red Hood could benefit heavily from something like this, and it's my hope that we might get an awesome close-range gun kata style character, or at least a character that relies on his traps and guns to do something other than just go full screen and start shooting the pew-pews. I know a lot of people are going to be really happy with Red Hood regardless of what his playstyle is, but Deadshot and many other characters are already kind of fulfilling the going full screen and shooting stuff for a lot of the game, and I hope that they're not going to put as much of it into the DLC because a lot of the core roster already kind of has that tool set. It would just be really sick to see someone mix you up with gun attacks in close or at a mid-range or something like that. All things considered, Red Hood was trained by Batman, so I would really like to see a combination of his own style with the stuff he learned from Batman and do some really cool close-range mix-up stuff. If you might remember Aaron Black from Mortal Kombat X, a perfect example of a character that has guns and gun attacks, but isn't really a zoner by any means or a projectile zoning character, except the marksman one, and even that one isn't that good. Aaron Black did do really well up close, and that's exactly what he did, was use these gun attacks to shoot low, to shoot high, to mix them up. Man, how cool would it be if the characters could throw guns or curve bullets or something crazy like that? I just want to see something different than pew-pew from full screen. Either way, I do absolutely love Injustice 2 right now, and I've already accepted that a lot of the game is going to be very projectile heavy, but I do feel they might address it in some way at some point. And I've already kind of gotten used to it, like I'm used to having these characters that have a really tough time against projectile attacks like Scarecrow and Robin, and it's difficult to get in, and as a result of keeping a good win record, which I somehow have on Injustice 2, it is really satisfying to get wins against those characters. Of course, it's not everyone, but a very large majority of the people that are super good at the game right now are heavily relying on projectile full-screen attacks to get those wins because there is a very little amount of risk and association to its reward, and I only hope that Red Hood is a character that will break the mold in some way. As soon as we get a chance, guys, I'll be back with updates for the DLC characters of Injustice 2 as soon as possible. Thank you guys a ton for watching, and let me know your experience with Injustice 2 online and how it's going for you so far. My name is Max, and I'll see you next time.